Hello gamers, I am a massive fan of the Nickelodeon TV show Avatar The Last Airbender. If you ask me, it's one of the best bits of media the Nickelodeon has ever put out. And if I'm being honest, I never knew that there were Avatar games. Well, that's kind of a lie. I knew about the mobile game Avatar Generations, which I played a total of like half an hour of. Not a big mobile gamer. And I also have seen clips and videos of the fan-made game 4 Seasons, which I believe is made on the PlayStation Dreams game. But recently, whilst Googling random stuff because I was bored, I found out about a game by the name of Avatar The Last Airbender Burning Earth. So this game was published by THQ, who developed the likes of Saints Row, Darksiders, and Destroy All Humans, which is a classic. But there are a lot of games like Burning Earth that THQ has also made, as for a while in like the early to mid 2000s and earlier into the 90s, THQ were the TV show / movie game developers. And there are hundreds of games like this. There is a full page on the Nickelodeon fandom website with all the THQ tie-in games that they've made, and it takes you like a full 2 minutes to scroll to the bottom of it. And that's just with Nickelodeon. They also did Home Alone games, Disney games, DreamWorks games, and even a game for the movie Wayne's World, which is interesting to say the least that there's a Wayne's World game. I might check that out at some point actually. And as I would find out earlier, THQ have also made 2 other Avatar games for Book 1 and Book 3. When playing it, I did find it weird that the game focused on Book 2, but apparently it's because there were 2 other games, which were, by the way, very hard to find. I might go back and play them later if I can find a good way to play them. And let's just say this trilogy of games is one of the oddest out there. All 3 games are completely different genres. And the second game in the series, that being the one I played, is the only HD game, even though there's a 3rd game in the series. Anyway, so just like the other 2 games, this game was also very hard to find as you can't buy it anywhere or it's not on sale anywhere. So I may or may not have had to use an emulator to play this game, and emulators, not the most reliable things in the world. The first emulator I used had issues with the game, which I didn't realize till this one scene where you have to destroy someone's house, where the controls would not pop up on the screen. And after downloading a different emulator and playing it on that one, I later found out that I was missing so much. I didn't even see bending. I just thought, oh, you can't see air bending, it's air. But then there was also water bending and earth bending I couldn't see, but hey. Now it's time to talk about combat and my experience with combat, something you will be doing a lot of throughout this game. And it will consist of you pressing the same buttons over and over again, with a max combo of 5 button presses, and they all consist of you pressing X a lot and throwing in the B button at random times to change up the attacks. There's also blocking and dodging, but the only time you ever really need to use that is in a boss fight. Which side round here, but all the boss fights are the exact same. Now the bosses have different attacks on it, but they all end with Aang entering the Avatar state, even though at this time in the story Aang's meant to be trying not to enter the Avatar state as he can't control it and he could die, and well, not just die, but he could kill the Avatar cycle in it. However, one thing the game really does have going for it, apart from the fact that it's the only HD one, is that the whole cast from the TV series play their roles, which means even if the characters don't look 100% right, or just stand still or freeze mid-action in a cutscene, which is very off-putting a lot of times, which they do a lot of, at least they sound right.
Avatar. Zuko! It's 3 years to the day since my father banished me. This time you're mine. I will have my honor.
Imagine my luck, finding both my brother and the Avatar on the same day. Father will be pleased.
Back off, Azula! He's mine!
Run, Zuko. You cannot win at this time. There are too many.
Get the Avatar. I'll take care of my brother. You go yellow, I'll go blue.
Oh, fun.
They even got D. Bradley Barker in for Appa. According to IMDb, of course, because I don't actually remember hearing Appa make a single sound throughout this whole game. They also have Mick Foley reprising his role as the Boulder.
Tremble before the boulder, little people.
So the first game followed Book 1, Water, but also had its own original story tied in to boot. Was it any good from the videos I've seen on YouTube of it? No, but it did try to do something different. So how about Burning Earth? Did it have its original story aspect? Did it carry on the original story aspect from the first game? Well, kind of. And by that, I mean no, they just got a lot of stuff wrong about Book 2. Now, the game is very short, 4 hours in total, which is probably shorter than the runtime of Book 2. So they had to compress a lot of stuff down. But they also just didn't do stuff they should have. Like, at one point, Aang has a vision of Toph in the swamp, if you remember that episode. However, unlike in the TV episode where Toph is in a white dress, in the game, she looks like her normal self. But yet whenever Aang talks about that vision, he says he saw her in a white dress with a flying badger mole or whatever. I forgot what the flying thing was. Don't sue me.
She really is.
Maybe it's because we're asking about the wrong person. In my vision, I saw a girl in a white dress with a pet flying boar. Know anybody like that?
Well, a flying boar is the symbol of the Beifong family, who live on an estate just outside of town. They're the richest people in the district.
A flying boar is good enough for me. Thanks.
There are also a lot of characters showing up where they weren't meant to be, which I just don't understand. I think it's just so like, hey, look, we have this character everyone likes in the game. I just don't understand why they decided to follow the original story, but did it wrong. I also assume there was kind of a budget or time issue, because a lot of these problems probably would have been fixed if the game was like 2 hours longer and they spent a couple more months on development. There's also many cutscenes or just scenes in general where characters attempt to pull on emotions without the game doing any of the build up. So it's like you need to watch the TV show to get what they're trying to pay off. But then after watching the show, you'll just then see how out of place everything is. But hey, this game lets you play as Momo. So that's pretty cool. And the final mission takes place on the drill, which is probably one of my favorite episodes of Book 2. Ignoring the fact that you have the big boss fight that's meant to happen underground at Lake, whatever it was. Sorry, I'm forgetful. Also, Aang basically doesn't die at the end of the game, which I guess makes sense, but like, come on. So this game was interesting. In a time where games were getting made for the sole purpose of cashing in on the excitement of other media and making games for a quick buck, the gaming industry was in a interesting spot back then, with some developers releasing tie-in games every couple of months. And some of those tie-in games were very, very good, but most of them were not. They were the exact same game with a different coat of paint on it. At least the industry's in a better place now, and haven't just replaced games with different coats of paint to games that don't release in working order.